Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Hour, Entrepreneurship 407. Today I'm really excited. We have all the way from South Korea, Dr. Myun Lee, who is both an alumnus of the University of Michigan and the father of a current student, Sang Lee, who's here with us today. I want to welcome them and introduce briefly Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee was, after leaving the University of Michigan and returning to South Korea, Seoul National University, the youngest ever chair of a department in the College of Engineering at Seoul National University at age 25. And if you can imagine, by any standard, that's quite an achievement. And as we talked about it, maybe particularly in that part of the world where such credence is given to your senior individuals. And so it's a real achievement he was able to do that. And then he went on to write a best-selling book called Theory W that gained the attention of not just one, but two presidential candidates. At the time, there was a presidential election, and he became advisor to the president-elect and went on to create not just a few, but many products, as many as 50 different products, approximately 50% of which entered the marketplace successfully. So this is a serial entrepreneur in a really globally integrated space, an engineer, a product developer. And the last thing I would say, he's also formerly a bodybuilder. Not too bad. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Lee.
Thank you, David. You're very kind. Hi, how are you? I first came to Ann Arbor in '68. So, to most of you, I'm a caveman coming home straight from the Stone Age. And in fact, I lived in Stone Drive in Northwood. So. Friendly talk from alumni from Stone Age. And I was living in Stanley House, and in one summer, they had to shut down for maintenance. So I lived in a sublet apartment in Central Campus, and I shared the apartment with an African-American guy, and I learned braiding culture from him. And he was spending lots of money, wouldn't mind sitting 10, 12 hours straight for his quality braiding. So I said, somebody really should invent a hair braiding machine. And he said yes. And that was it. We never mentioned it again. And 30 years later, I invited the director of the patent administration. And he said, human hair cannot be braided by machine. And remembering something, I asked him why. And he said, machine braids, and once it tangled, the machine would pull out the hair, so it's almost impossible to braid by machine. So after the seminar, I and my graduate students decided to start a venture company. And our first product was hair braiding machine. That was a bad decision. It took 5 years to realize, but it's in the market. A unique product for hair braiding human hair. It took 5 hours for her. A double extension braiding. When she sat down, her braid would fall down on her knees. And the machine looks like something like this. And one led to another. European hairstylists came to me and protested that they need something Caucasian. So they were talking about multi-strand hair twisting machine. So we responded. Whenever I hear that sound, it sounds like my money is just going away from me. And hair clinic people came to me and protested that they need something for nanograft hair extension. They said 75% of male, 50% of female experience severe hair loss before 60. And they said you should do something about it. I tried to avoid that demand, but somehow.
Place the overlapped hair and extension between the heat pads and pull the trigger to close the grip. Overlay the hair in the middle of the extension. Use Extend Magic Tip to heat the side of adhesion on the pre-bonded extension in order to bond it to the hair.
And she's 26, has genetic hair loss problem, and with our machine, plus 3 hours, she looks like this. And, she can scratch her hair, pull her hair, enjoy sports, sauna, everything. And it stays there 4 months. And this is fresh from the oven. Somebody convinced me that I should develop eyelash extension machine. You're the one of the few who ever said this. We're going to introduce it at this coming Bologna Beauty Show in April. So you're the early bird. Manual extension, I don't know whether you're familiar with this. Manual extension takes about 2 hours. And that machine finishes within 5 minutes. So it saves time, stays there for 3-4 months. Other than this, as David informed you earlier, I developed about 50 high-touch products. High-touch meaning ergonomic design, user-friendly, value-added, aesthetic product. And among this, some of them were covered in the media, and 6 of them were cited as a hit product of the year. The definition of hit product is if the product make more than $50 million in the first 12 months period, then they gave me a piece of paper saying this guy invented this, and they invite me to a dinner. And they ask me lots of silly questions, so I don't have the time to eat. So, I invented the robotic cleaning machine in 1990, and Koreans are afraid because American, Japanese manufacturer didn't make this. Something must be wrong with it. If it were that good, they should have made it. But since they didn't make it, they're not going to make it. So that was the biggest hit in the whole global market in 2004. So if you've been accustomed to following others, even if you have a good idea, you are afraid. So in that sense, with these hit products, venture products, I decided to share the hard-earned knowledge from the field. And I wrote a book called Theory W. And Theory W emphasizes 3 things. Discard the transient. I'm emphasizing the importance of paradigm and paradigm shift. Disregard the visible, meaning you better be creative, whatever you do. Renounce the rapid. If you're just following technical details. You'll be busy, but you'll be going nowhere. So stay cool, set up your long-term vision, and stay with it. And this book, perhaps, if you want to become an entrepreneur in global level, perhaps you should keep that in mind as an entrepreneur's code of conduct. Just don't jump into any details, small things. If it fits to these three principles, perhaps you'll give a thought. Otherwise, whatever you do, you'll end up locally rich merchant. Just you need to look at these principles once in a while.